let's check out the rest of the broadcast team. Marshall Sutcliffe and Paul Cheon are here with you, as well as Ailey Loney and Corey Baumeister in the booth. All right, everyone, it's time for draft number 2 here at Pro Tour Ether Drift. Marshall and Paul, take it away.
Thank you, Maria. Welcome back to the booth here at Pro Tour Ether Drift. Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Cheon, and it is just about time to crack some booster packs, Paul. This is the best part. It is, and you know, this is also the day 2 draft where the players with the best records have now bubbled their way to the top. Our feature pod is crazy. It has 2 8-0s, and everybody else is 7-1 at the table.
Yeah, it's incredible. And if you just kind of see the names of the players here, it's kind of a blast from the past, right? We have Matt Nass and Ben Stark sitting at 8-0 here. And just take a look at that bottom right corner here. Woo. We have Matt Nass passing to Alan Wu, passing to Ben Stark. Pro Tour champions here, just a really, all the super accomplished players here all passing to each other, and Ben Stark is on the tail end of that, so he's not going to be getting anything late because Alan Wu and Matt Nass are definitely going to be just taking all the good cards out of the packs.
Nothing easy here for our featured drafter, Ben Stark, but he likes to draft the hard way anyway, Paul. It's kind of part of his theme. And that usually means trying to stay open for as long as possible and let the table seat dictate where you're supposed to end up rather than sticking stubbornly to your first few picks or deciding what you want to draft before you sit down.
Please pick up a pack labeled A.
All right, let's get into pack.
Open it and count 14
Pick one here. Let's see if he can open up something
sweet. Will be facing the opposite way.
It's always so much easier, Paul, if you could just open up a great rare and kind of have a no-brainer decision to start off with.
Yeah, just open a Sky Sovereign.
Right. Well,
best card, one of the best cards in the set.
Paul's just,
what do you mean?
No, I like
You're
it, man.
8-0, you're trying to top
this
8?
guy.
Why
like
not? Dream big.
All right, let's see what he's opened up here.
Okay.
Okay, good start right there. Hazard of the Dunes, that's your fallback plan regardless, but maybe you could do a little better?
It's a premium common. Now, there's Guidelight Pathmaker, which is a strong card. Glory Heath Lynx, excellent uncommon. I actually like it better than that Bulwark Ox that we saw. But there's also Greenbelt Guardian and Migrating Ketrodon. So 3 great picks at green and a couple of awesome options at white as well in the Bulwark Ox and the Glory Heath Lynx. Now, in terms of power level, I would say those white cards are comparable to green in a vacuum. But green is a much deeper color. So for me, if the pick is close, I will just opt for the green card.
That is much better. They have a deeper common pool to pick from. Oh, what is he going to pick? He's got... Okay, he's reading the Greenbelt Guardian. Okay, yeah, I forgot. This is how Ben... He'll take a card... Like, most people pull the cards to the front, and they'll kind of go back and forth between maybe their top 2 or 3 picks, and then the one in the front's the one they'll take. But Ben kind of throws a little curveball there, and he'll put sometimes a card in the middle down. So he did take Greenbelt Guardian. The highest upside card out of the green cards he saw there. Ooh, Back on Track, Pothole Mole, Rocketeer Boost Buggy. Okay.
Yeah, there's a Ketrodon
there's
here.
a Migrating Ketrodon as well.
And then there's a Voyage Home, which is a really nice card if you do draft the artifact deck. But given that you started with the green card, I'm looking at Migrating Ketrodon and Back on Track. Now, Back on Track has the most upside. If you do end up in Golgari, it is one of the best uncommons in your deck. But you know, the Ketrodon is a premium common. If you take that, you stay open because any color combination with green is strong.
That's true.
So just taking the Ketrodon and staying green and just trying to figure out what your second color should be later in the draft. Not the worst thing to do, to be honest.
You talked me off the ledge, Paul. I was really interested in taking the Back on Track there for the upside, but you're right. That is not the right.
And the Ketrodon is also so strong.
Boom Scholar, he paused on. Ooh, this pack's not nearly as strong as the prior 2.
Yeah, I'm looking at Boom Scholar and Roadside Blowout.
Oh, Roadside Blowout, okay.
Yeah, and I have a really strong preference to blue-green as opposed to red-green in terms of what I like. I also think Roadside Blowout is just a stronger card. Boom Scholar has good upside here if you have a ton of exhaust cards, but you don't necessarily always get them, and the exhaust pick card, the exhaust cost rather, is just so high for the card itself because you don't get the discount. Paying 6 mana to give your Boom Scholar, turn it into a 5/5 is just not that great on rate.
25 seconds.
But it's still a fine card. You know, you could be seeing that card and going, okay, well, maybe this is a signpost uncommon that puts me into Gruul.
Okay. Ooh, there's a run over. That'll make this one easy if he doesn't find something better. Oh, Ooze Patrol as well.
Yeah, this has got to be a run over here for me. I think Ooze Patrol, if you are in the Golgari deck, there is some upside here, but run over, you can just never go wrong. And if you ever cast that thing for 1 mana, kind of feels like you're cheating.
It does.
It's absolutely incredible.
10 cards to your left.
Okay. So 3 green cards and then a gold, green, red card so far.
Pick up the pack.
That's a pretty good start for Ben.
Seconds.
That's exactly where you want to be here. Starting it with 3 of your first 4 cards being green.
There's a trip up, Alacrian Jaguar. That's one of the few green commons that actually isn't good. Oh, there's Momentum Breaker. He likes that card in Constructed as well, Paul.
Yeah, Momentum Breaker is fantastic. The thing is, normally Edict effects aren't so strong,
5
but this
seconds.
gives you just enough.
Yeah.
It starts your engines, it gains your life. So I imagine
I
Momentum...
like trip up or
Draft.
breaker.
Yeah, I trip up or breaker is
Oh, he
fine.
took the Alacrian Jaguar?
Okay, I can't say that I agree with this one. Alacrian Jaguar is a card
Pick up the
that
pack.
is a
You have
filler
20
level
seconds.
common that you just kind of put in. It's kind of a 23rd level card.
Yeah, if that.
The upside of Momentum Breaker or Trip Up is just so much greater in my opinion. I would have
Definitely.
probably speculated on one of those two.
Okay, maybe he'll look at these red cards here. There's a boosted sloop. There's a card from our past yesterday there, Paul, the Monument as
5
well.
seconds.
Now, Embalmed Descendant is the best card, but it's double off color, right? Given that you started green. You could speculate on a
Drafts.
Monument to Endurance, but this is kind of a tough pack. Like, what do you take? You can take Boosted Sloop, maybe. Oftentimes you can potentially end up in
Shuffle past
Teamer
8
because those are the
cards to your
exhaust
left.
colors.
Okay.
So if you do end up
Okay.
with enough
Pack.
mana
You have
fixing,
20 seconds.
if your mana fixing is good enough, this is a powerful effect if you want to just get some extra value.
This could also just be, I mean, we haven't seen green cards in a couple of packs, and this could be Ben just trying to stay open, generally speaking.
Right?
There's a trip up.
Yeah, and had Ben
5
taken the
seconds.
Momentum Breaker, I'd be really tempted to take the Gastel Raider here, but since he doesn't have it, you could take the Trip Up or the
Drafts.
Gilded Goda. Okay,
Yeah,
so
seven
this
Ben,
is going back
to your
towards
left.
red.
yeah, Ben looking to maybe just try to kind of plant his flag here and say, hey,
Pick up the pack.
Gruul is
You have
kind of where I
15
want to be.
seconds.
Push the limit, another card we saw yesterday. Okay, not much in this pack. This one's a bit of a empty.
5
Yeah,
seconds.
Javier actually played that in his
He did.
Jeskai cycling deck. Probably not interested in it here. You
Draft.
could just take the roads here.
Sure.
If
Pass
you end up in
6
blue-red or
cards to your
blue-green,
left.
you can still just play it format slow enough where usually you can
Pick
just
up the
get away
pack.
with
You
playing a
have
road
10
in your deck.
seconds.
Okay, that's
Oh,
a
is
late.
that a Nimble Thopterus?
Yeah, that's a pretty late Nimble Thopterus. You know, you rarely cut that card from your deck, especially in these 8-player Pro Tour drafts. This
5
is just going to be a
seconds.
card you're always happy playing with, even if you're not the artifact deck. So decent
Draft.
pickup here, and could be an indication that blue is open
Pass
because we're
5
looking
cards
at
to your left.
a 9th pick.
Pick up
That's
the pack.
that
You have
Thopterus
10
tabled.
seconds.
So that could be an indication that blue is open,
Interesting.
and that could be something that Ben should
5
keep in
seconds.
mind when he makes picks moving forward.
Looks like he's just going to take a Goblin Surveyor. You know, the thing to
Drafts.
note here
Pass
is the
4
green
cards
has
to your
dried up
left.
pretty significantly. You know,
Pick
he
up the
took the
pack. You have
Alacrian
5
Jaguar,
seconds.
but that's not much of a pick, and there hasn't been a green card since. Oh, there's another Jaguar.
Yeah,
Drafts.
there is another Jaguar. He has
Pass
seen a
3
smattering of
cards to the
black cards, but
left.
it
Pick up
does
the
look like
pack.
blue
You
and
have
red
5
cards
seconds.
also seem to be somewhat open. Those are the things that he's tabling. So that could give him a
Drafts.
potential window
Pass
to
2
pivot
cards
out
to
of
your
green.
left. Pick
It's
up the
still
pack.
really
You have
tough
5
just because green is
seconds.
so deep and your 3 green cards are still
Wow.
really strong.
Let's
But
pass
a,
the final
but a
card.
trip up there with 2 cards left in the pack tells me that, yeah, blue is probably one of the
You will
colors
now
you want to
have
be,
60
given that you're
seconds to
seeing a
review your
totally
picks.
playable card table.
All right, so Ben gets to take a chance here to review his picks. You know, in a time draft, you get to do that in between packs, and that's what he's doing right now. And this is an interesting one. He has definitely not solidified himself in any particular color pair just yet. You know, if you had to guess, it looks like he's maybe leaning green-red, perhaps, but they're blue cards. There's actually quite a few that he got late in that pack. The Trip Up and the Nimble Thopterist are cards that, you know, regularly make the cut, and then, you know, if you have a reason to, you can play Hull Drifter as well.
Yeah, I think if you just kind of take a look at the power level of the cards that Ben has, I think he really wants to still stay in green, despite the fact that he only got
15
the 3 or
seconds
4
left.
good green cards. They're just so much better than a lot of the other cards he got late. Sure, you got a Nimble Thopterist, but Nimble Thopterist is not better than Run Over, Greenbelt Guardian, or Migrating Ketrodon. So I think green and try to figure out if you should be red or blue. But red didn't really seem open.
No,
if
it
you talk about the
Return your
top
cards to a
red
single
commons, we're
face-down
looking at
pile.
Lightning Strike, Crash and Burn, and Thunderhead
Pick the
Gunner.
pack labeled
You didn't
B.
see any of those cards.
Remove the
So if
cards
I'm
from the
Ben,
envelope
I'm
and count
probably
14
looking at being
cards
blue
face
green
down.
or potentially blue-red if that archetype is open.
Okay, well, let's take a look at what maybe Ben might be thinking or hoping for as he enters into the second pack. You know, the first part of the second pack is the part where you, generally speaking, start to really solidify where your colors are. You know, if you have to put that decision off too much further, it can get kind of sketchy. So what are some of the commons, let's start there, that he may be looking to pick up perhaps to solidify him in a color pair or get him, you know, moving in the right direction? So
Yeah. I think as far as commons goes, he really wants to pick something that's either green, blue, or red. Just looking at some of the top options for green, Stampeding Scurryfoot would be an excellent card. He has some top-end cards already, so that's just an excellent green common tool to take. Flood the Engine, excellent removal spell, even possibly splashable if you do end up in green, red, splashing blue. So that's something that you want. And then Lightning Strike, just to have another cheap interactive spell. He's only got the Run Over as a removal effect, so that's something that he could be interested in as well.
What about at the uncommon level? If I let you dream a little, Paul.
Yeah, if you want to dream, I mean, blue-green. I've talked about how much I love that color combination, and blue seemed kind of open. So Sky Serpent Seeker and Ranger's Refueler are among the best cards to have in blue-green. Ranger's Refueler being one of the best exhaust payoffs. Sky Serpent Seeker just absolutely incredible. 2-mana, 1/1 flying Death Toucher that lets you trade and then get you lands. And then, however, if you're looking for a red card, Greasewrench Goblin, I think, is a really interesting card because in green-red, it's great. It's just always a good card. It exhausts. But then if you do maybe pivot into blue-red, it's also got that discard element as well, where if you take this and you're going to be red, if you end up in red-blue or red-green, this is going to be a nice card to have.
Yeah, these are all cards that would at least bump you in a direction and hopefully solidify you a little more. Now, if we're dreaming,
well,
give me a Sabsunin right now.
Yeah, the frog god herself. Sabsunin, the best card in the entire set. Sabsunin is absolutely incredible, and the card basically everybody wants to open. If you have green mana in your deck, you're going to splash the Sabsunin in any pack that you open. Now, there's another card here, a really exciting card, Loot the Pathfinder. Look.
Why limit yourself?
Right. You know, Ben is some combination of blue, red, or green, and I typically don't advocate for taking a three-color card in any format, but this card is just so powerful. It makes sense to take this card. This is still one of the best rares in the entire set, despite being a 3-color card. So Loot is a really exciting card to take. And then last but not least, Lumbering Worldwagon, one of the best green rares in the entire set. And also, if Ben's deck ends up getting a little bit weird where he has to play 3 colors, well, this card does everything for you. It fixes your mana, and if you play this on the play turn 3 and then play like a Hazard of the Dunes and attack, and they can't kill this, the game basically ends.
It smashes.
You're just too far ahead on resources. You have this giant vehicle in play that can close out the game really quickly, and if not, you have a ton of mana, and this format's all about mana sinks. When you're up 1, 2, 3 lands on your opponent, you can just use that mana advantage to win the game.
Yeah, and you're forcing them to deal with the creature itself. Let's take a look at how this actually goes. We get Ben's Pack 2 right now. This is going to be cool, Paul. I'm really curious to see what these packs give him. You know, Ben's a big advocate for letting the seat dictate where you end up. Oh, well, okay. If he wants to stay in green, an Autarch Mammoth is a great start. There's also Ovia, which is actually proven to be like maybe a little better than it looked, but not nearly as good as the Mammoth.
Yeah, Ovia is interesting. I really like it in black-green because you typically play a bunch of large cycling cards that you can put into play at instant speed. But your Autarch Mammoth is one of the better uncommons in the entire set. When you play that thing, you're just getting so much stats. 6 mana for a 5/5 and a 3/3. And then if you can ever saddle it and make an elephant, that is just so much power and toughness that you're putting onto the battlefield, spread between 3 permanents. This is just a slam dunk pick here for Ben.
Yeah, so Ben's going to take the Mammoth,
Draft.
Further solidifying himself in green, perhaps.
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
There's still the question of what the other color is that he has, but...
Pick up the pack. You have 35 seconds.
All right, let's see what he picks up here. Anything good in green, point the way. Oh, there's a Flood the Engine.
Yeah, Flood the Engine is an excellent removal spell. Would totally consider that. Is Ben... Is he reading this?
It looks like he's reading Point the Way. There's a lot of words on it.
Yeah, Point the Way is not particularly good, but Flood the Engine has proven itself to be one of Blue's best commons.
Ether
really
Siphon.
Good value card. Ether Siphon is a nice card draw engine, but there's also Thopter Fabricator.
Okay.
It's got the most upside, right? If you can find enough ways to cycle, it's also just a giant flying vehicle. So I think you can't go wrong with taking either Flood the Engine here or Thopter Fabricator.
Draft.
And Ben is going with the Fabricator. Now, if Ben does somehow pivot into blue-red, the Fabricator is kind of a bomb, right?
That's right.
Because everything cycles and you make a bunch of Thopters. And it's never a totally bad card to play in any deck.
So 30 seconds.
It's completely fine to take that as an option.
Yeah, nice pickup there for Ben. And maybe, again, veering him a little bit away from red. Oh, wow. Elvish Refueler. This is a good pack.
Yeah, Elvish Refueler is fantastic, especially if you're going to be in blue-green. You're going to have a bunch of exhaust cards, and this just makes sure that you basically never run out of gas.
That's right.
You're just constantly exhausting. The 1-2 punch there. Now Ben Stark really wants to find a Stampeding Scurryfoot to pair with the Elvish Refueler. Being able to activate Scurryfoot more than once just kind of feels like you're getting away with something.
Absolutely. So good start to pack 2 here for Ben.
Pick up the pack.
Picking up a couple of really good green uncommons and then a Thopter Fabricator there as well. There's a Howler's Heavy. Hey, that would already go well. Oh, Roadside Blowout, though. That's actually perfect for what he's got here.
Oh, yeah, it's incredible. It's a great interactive spell that you're always going to play in your blue decks, and it draws you a card, which works really well with that Thopter Fabricator that Ben has.
Beautiful.
I wonder if Ben is just going, man, I really wish I took the other Roadside Blowout in pack 1 over the Boom Scholar there.
Would be nice to have. There was a Venom Sack Lagak that he would also gladly add to his pile, but the Blowout's just enough better to take it here. So it does look like he's much closer now to just being green-blue at this point. All of his picks out of this second pack have been either green or blue.
Yeah, it totally makes a lot of sense, especially if you just try to read the draft and kind of look at how pack 1 went. And, you know, Hull Drifter is not a fantastic card. Trip Up is not a top blue common, but when you get those with 2 or 3 cards left, that means very likely the people to your right are not in blue.
And incidentally, both of those go well with the Fabricator.
Yeah, I imagine this is just a Midnight Mangler just to make sure if you don't have enough 2-drops you like playing, you can always just put Midnight Mangler into your deck.
Yeah, just make sure you don't get ran over early, have something to do on turn 2.
Yeah, especially because the Simic decks always just have things to do with all the exhaust cards.
Right.
So you just, any 2-drop is something that you'd be reasonably happy
with. Ooh, Bounce Off. That's good interaction here. Ben is a little short on interaction. He has a Trip Up and a Run Over, and then the
yeah, no, Bounce Off. This looks like a pretty easy Bounce Off. Wow.
He took the Pit Automaton.
Okay, I love the first copy of Bounce Off is so strong. Now, I do like Pit Automaton in the Simic exhaust decks, but Ben doesn't have a million exhaust creatures just yet. Maybe he just wants to have another 2-mana card that gives him some upside, but Bounce Off is a really, really strong interactive spell. I'm a little bit surprised with that one.
Yeah. I guess, you know, he is probably thinking, I'm just in the blue-green exhaust deck, and Pit Automaton does work there.
It absolutely does.
Defend the Rider, that would be a good pickup.
Yeah, it's a reasonable combat trick here. There's also Wreckage Remover. If you want to sideboard that in against the Golgari decks, right, if they're doing the Reanimator thing. Oh, wow.
Pass 7 cards to your right.
He took the Glitch Ghost Surveyor.
Yeah, I'm generally not a fan of this creature just because the stats are kind of underwhelming.
Doesn't really fit.
You know, it's a random flyer. It's okay. To be fair, that pack wasn't particularly strong anyways, but, you know. The second Reef Roads, usually the second road is not something you're too interested in playing unless you have a lot of mounts and vehicles to allow it to come into play untapped. But hey, if you have a deck with a bunch of Pothole Moles, they do get a little bit better because in the late game you can return them into play.
10 seconds.
Ooh, I do like the Interference here. I actually like Interference a lot, and specifically blue-green. Because oftentimes the play pattern is pass with my exhaust creature up, counter your thing, or exhaust
Drifter.
Draft.
He took Hull Drifter. Okay, that's good. He already has one.
I don't like that. Yeah, the second Hull Drifter, maybe the first one with you know, with what he's got, but I really like that Spectral Interference.
Interference is very, very good.
Oh, good with exhaust. Yeah.
Drafts.
I think he's just cutting at this point. There's nothing really there for him, so he's just going to take the aggressive glider from maybe an opponent. Oh, wow. This table knows what's up.
Yeah,
it's all red and white cards at the end of the pack.
These are very smart drafters. It's just red and white cards at the end.
No kidding.
Okay, Howler's
Howler.
Yeah, that's a totally fine playable card.
Pass 2 cards to your right.
Again, anything with cycling on it is
with the Fabricator.
Little nudged. Yeah, it's not like the entire deck's built around it, but with Fabricator, it's a little better.
Absolutely. I can see that being the pack. Yeah, and I can see that being the tiebreaker too. It just in a lot of instances, if Ben has a close pick between 2 things, he'll probably just take the card that actually has cycling, given the fact that if you ever go turn 3 Fabricator and just cycle a few things, you're just so far ahead, right? You just get free Thopters. It's so strong.
Interesting big picture here, Paul. You know, he did pick up those 2 green cards out of the first 3 picks, but then there was nothing. Green is heavily contested at this table, as you would expect it to be.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. The green cards are so good, even if you have 9 green cards, as long as you can figure out what the second color is and fill out your deck with that, you can still end up with a strong deck. And blue certainly seems reasonably open.
Yes.
So if he just, you know, picks up maybe 3 playable green cards and then fills the rest out with the blue cards, he can still have a totally fine deck.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 green cards he picked up were Autark Mammoth and Elvish Refueler. Like,
yeah,
those are 2
fantastic.
of his best cards.
Right.
Yeah. I am curious, would you assume that he has abandoned red altogether at this point?
Seconds.
He has the Boom Scholar and the boosted Sloop as potential splashes.
Yeah, I don't even think those cards are really even that strong. I don't think they're just worth splashing unless you basically get them for free. Let's say you get some Rugged Highlands or Blue-Red lands kind of late for free.
Then
and pack 3 ends up being really, really rough and you don't end up with enough playables, then I can see playing those cards. They're fine cards
5
to play.
seconds.
But certainly, you know, those are cards you kind of want to play on curve a lot of the time, whereas something like a Broadside
Return your cards
Barrage
to a single
is something
face-down
that
pile.
you would splash for, right? Because that's good at
Pick
any
up the
point
pack
of the game.
labeled C.
Yeah, he
Open it
doesn't
and
have
count
much in the
14
way of
cards
fixing
face
right
down.
now either.
0, I think.
I think nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, he picked up a couple dual land, but it was, you know, green-black.
right.
Jungle Hollow or something in the first pack. All right, pack number 3 coming up here. We're watching Ben Stark draft.
1 second.
Yeah, Sabsunin.
Sabsunin, please.
That would be the actual dream,
Pick up
of
the pack.
course.
You
Yeah,
have
he should
40
be
seconds.
putting his mental energy into visualizing that.
Ooh. Perilous Snare, one of White's
Perilous
probably
Snare.
White's best rare. Very, very strong
There's a
card.
Broadside Barrage that you were talking about.
Yeah, great removal spell as well.
Any good green cards? Keen Buccaneer would be totally fine.
Migrating Ketrodon.
Oh.
Hazard of the Dune. So
The classic.
Yeah, 2 really strong cards. This one's kind of close. The thing is, he's already got a Ketrodon and an Autark Mammoth.
Yeah.
So it would make sense to take Hazard of the Dunes just because it's a 4-drop to play, and it's just better for the curve. But you do have the Thopter Fabricator, right? So that's kind of the tiebreaker, maybe.
I would. I think that's what he was thinking. I would actually still go with the Hazard. I mean, you have a Pit Automaton and stuff.
Shuffle
like
and
you can
pass
kind of turbo
13
those
cards
things
to your
out,
left.
and you want to mind your curve.
Yeah.
But that's so close. It's a
yeah,
Pick up the
that's
pack.
preference.
those
Yeah.
2 cards are
35
both
seconds.
fantastic. You can't go too wrong taking either of those
Yeah.
cards.
There's Ben's favorite, the Alacrian Jaguar at the front.
And please don't take that one.
I don't think he will. Oh, whoa!
Wow,
that's a
a-
rough pack for
That
him.
is an awful pack.
This is
too.
pack 3, pick 2. Like there should be a common here.
Not a single blue or green common that you really want. He has a Jaguar already, and he's got 2 Hull Drifters. So
Right.
neither are really good options. And there's a Thrill
5
Roller, but that's
seconds.
not even that good in blue-green as a splash card. Comes into play as a 4/2, I guess.
Is
Are
he
you
just
8
cutting
drafting?
something
Drafts.
here? Yeah, like just take
Shuffle
something
and
from
pass
somebody
12
else.
cards
Yeah,
to
take
your
the
left.
rare.
Yeah, that's
Castle
really
Thrill Roller, sure.
yeah.
Boy, that's unfortunate pack there for Ben.
Pick up
I
the
mean,
pack.
just
You have 30
nothing.
seconds.
Yeah, this card's just not good if you're a blue-green exhaust deck. It's not the type of card that you want.
Right. I mean, this pack's already better. Oh, Bright Glass Gear Hulk,
Yeah.
and all of we've seen.
Oh.
Oh, there we go. Sky Serpent Seeker.
Well, this is going to be a very, very easy card. Yeah, this is extremely easy. This is one of Simic's best uncommons in the entire format.
Yeah.
Bright Glass Gearhulk, obviously very powerful, but just nowhere close to being able to play that
5
card.
seconds.
So good in this format. Giving it Death Touch was like nice,
Yeah,
right?
It's
Is-
really important. Sometimes
Shuffle
you just
and
got to
pass
trade.
11
You're on the
cards
draw,
to
your
your
opponent plays just some large creatures, and you just get that as an
Pick
option.
up the pack.
So
You have
nice.
25 seconds.
Let's see if Ben can continue on a better path here. Oh, no. Broken Wings is the best card for him?
Well, he does need interaction, and Broken Wings is honestly a card that I'm very happy playing the first copy of in most of my decks.
Okay.
Just when you're green, and in blue-green specifically,
5
you kind of
seconds.
lack interaction. So Broken Wings does allow you to deal with some problematic artifacts. He helps you with some
Drafts.
flyers. I think
Shuffle and pass
you're not
10
happy to
cards
take it
to your
this
left.
I was going to
early.
say positive, Paul. That was pack 3,
You're
pick
not,
4.
look, you're not happy to take it this early, but it was the only
Pick up the
card
pack.
in that pack,
You
and
have
that pack wasn't
25
particularly
seconds.
strong.
And it will make the cut.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Okay, now things are getting rough.
Defend the Rider, trade the Helm, or there was a Rugged Highlands if he's interested in those red cards. He was sort of pausing on them. Defend the Rider is nice, though.
Yeah, it's a totally
5
playable
seconds.
combat
Oh.
trick. I don't like multiple copies of it, but perhaps you just okay.
Oh, I think he
Drafts.
might actually be having his
Shuffle and
eye on a
pass
little
9
red splash
cards to
there.
your
Get the
left.
boosted sloop in there, maybe.
Boom Scholar?
Well, to be fair, a
Pick up the
boosted
pack.
sloop
You have 20
is
seconds.
nice with the Thopter Fabricator,
It
right?
is.
If you get that going, that's a nice combination. And that pack was kind of bad.
Wow, these packs have been tough.
Yeah, look at this. I mean,
Adrenaline
just
Jockey,
no,
Wreck Remover.
there's
Like,
just nothing in blue. He's seeing a bunch of red stuff.
there's no blue or green. There's
Yeah,
nothing to
5
take.
And
seconds.
there.
Adrenaline Jockey is not something you want to splash. Is he hake drafting?
Yeah, he is. He's just going to cut the Cloudspire Sky Cycle.
Wow.
Looks like just
That's
the best card in the pack.
That's an old school draft.
Hey.
Old school pick right there.
There was, I mean, there was actually no blue or green cards. Oh, okay, there was a trip up there, but he almost had that happen again.
There's a trip up, a sky crash,
camera
launcher to some broadcast rambler pretty late, right? Obviously, that's not something that he's going to take. I think he's just going to take the trip up here.
Yeah.
It's an interaction which he needs. It also cycles for the Thopter Fabricator. But this pack's certainly not going as well. Every now and then, Ben's just having a pack that has literally nothing for him, which is super tough.
Pick up the pack. You have 15 seconds.
Yeah, another pack with not a whole lot here.
Are you a Trade the Helm fan?
No, not at all. And I don't think Ben is either. He just took a random Serpent with almost no artifacts in his deck.
Yeah, he just took a card.
He's like, I pass some affinity cards. I'm not going to give people this.
6 cards to your left.
It does have cycling, but just...
10 seconds.
Trade does, yeah. Oh, there's another Rugged Highlands.
I think he's just going to take it here over the second Pit Automaton. He doesn't actually have a million exhaust cards, so I don't. He might play the first Automaton, but I don't think this isn't a deck where you're happy with both Automatons.
No, and that's funny. You said, well, I don't know if he randomly picks up a bunch of fixing. He kind of did.
5 seconds.
2 Rugged Highlands and a Mountain gives you 3 red sources, which is kind of what you want for your first red card. So if he doesn't have enough playables, which right now it looks like he might not.
5 seconds.
Then
that red splash is that red splash is getting more and more likely, especially with the double Rugged Highlands.
3 cards.
He's not going to take Bestow Greatness. Okay, he will.
Yeah, he will.
Pick up the pack. You have 5
he almost
seconds.
took the Gravestalker just to cut it. Okay, so this is wrapping up our draft here.
Left. You have 5 seconds.
How are you feeling about this one, Paul? This was a tough seat. I mean, this is what you would expect on day 2, table 1 at the Pro Tour. Nothing easy for Ben.
Yeah, nothing easy, and the only thing if you're Ben here is you have to be really disappointed with pack number 3.
Yeah.
Given how pack 1 went, and at the end of that pack, you just started to see a bunch of the blue cards, you would have expected some of the blue cards to flow a little better in pack 3, and that's kind of Ben's expectation, because the way that pack 1 started, green, 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 right? But then it dried up. So you know green is being heavily contested. That's the expectation going in. So if you want to see a green card, it's probably going to be in the first 3 or 4 picks in pack 3, but then you're hoping, well, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to get the blue cards at least. And all he saw were just all the white and red cards nobody else wanted. So he's probably going to have to dig deep here. He's probably going to have to splash red to make things work, because I'm not sure he's going to have enough for just a straight blue-green deck.
Do you think he wants to splash red given the cards? You know, sometimes we'll see somebody pick up a rare or very splashable card that you really want to get in your deck if you possibly can. These cards were kind of on the fringe.
Yeah, the thing is, look, we're talking about Boom Scholar and Boosted Sloop. Those cards are excellent when you play them turn 3, right, on the play or what have you. But when you're splashing when you're splashing for cards, you typically want cards that are good at all points in the game. So removal spells, for example, or bombs. Those are the cards that you want to splash. But when it's a 3-drop that's like, okay, if you draw a Boom Scholar on turn 6 or 7, it's just fine.
Yeah.
But given the overall power level of Ben's cards and just the depth of the commons and how he got nothing in pack 3, I wouldn't be surprised that he just has no choice but to play these cards.
Yeah, you compared Boosted Sloop to Broadside Barrage, right? Card you want to draw anytime versus one that you kind of need on 3. Let's take a look. We get a chance to see his deck list here and see if those red cards did make it in.
It did.
They did, both of them. Pretty... Oh, weird. The Gearseeker Serpent actually is in there too, and both Hull Drifters.
So what are we looking at for artifacts? I guess there's a Pit Automaton, a Fabricator, yeah, and a couple Hull Drifters. Look, the Gearseeker Serpent is simply just in there because he just did not have enough playable cards.
Yeah, that does look like it's the case.
And that is the case. There's also Glitch Ghost Surveyor in here. He has a pretty bad curve too. We're looking at 4 2-mana cards. Doesn't look like anybody was in Boros though, so maybe that's not going to be a problem. Now his top end is good, right? 2 Hull Drifters, 2 Ketrodons, the Mammoth. So if he can survive and not get run over and get to the late game, he has certainly a lot of punch at the top end of his mana curve.
This is the absolute perfect representation of a tough draft seat at the Pro Tour.
Right.
The low-end stuff that you just mentioned, not super great, right? He had to put in a few filler cards, basically, and he had to stretch his mana for a bit of a splash as well. But the fundamentals are there. The bones are there for him to, particularly if he draws the kind of good side of his deck, to get the job done.
Yeah, it is really difficult to just get that streamlined 2-color. Every card is awesome. I am not playing a 23rd playable level card in my deck.
Very rare.
It's just super rare, especially day 2 of the Pro Tour with the players that are in this pod. It's just not going to happen. So what's going to happen is you're going to have some, if you go green, a lot of the times it's going to be kind of messy.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the 2-color decks. It's going to be contested. It's still possibly correct to be green just because of how powerful it is. But I wouldn't be surprised with the evolution of this format in general where 3-color green decks become the norm because of how contested it is. Veloheart Bike goes up in your rankings, right? You just start taking those cards just because you know that you're not going to have enough playables in just a 2-color combination. Now, Ben's deck still has a lot of power. And if he doesn't go into, the Rakdos speed deck or some kind of Boros aggressive deck, I still think he has the tools to be able to get there. But he also has a real chance of just getting completely run over just based on the curve that we saw.
Yeah, this is a slow deck. He's got a high curve, bunch of hole drifters and stuff. But if it does get to the mid to late game, he's got a pretty good shot. All right, that's going to do it for the draft portion here in the morning. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, though, we've got Ben Stark against Matt Nast to see who remains undefeated in the field. We'll be back with more right after this.